Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murder, and today I'm going to do a quick overview on Bryan Kohberger. Now that they made an arrest on this case, and in this quiet little town in Idaho, and this is based off several articles, guys, but 4 students, Ethan 20, Kaylee 21, Kernodle 20, Madison 21, were asleep at their off-campus residence that they were renting near the University of Idaho. It's the wee early hours, November 13th, 2022. Now, we're going to skip the details on this because most people know their story, but they find this gruesome scene. There's 2 people that survive, 4 people who didn't. And at that point, investigators knew they would have a major investigation ahead. Media sources for weeks give the local investigators on this case a hard time because they just didn't have any suspects. It was a big story that was taking the headlines for weeks. It affected the students surrounding this university as well because they were scared to death. They said that they seen locksmiths in the area, tons of them, changing locks on doors. And there was a lot of talk amongst the students of whether they were going to stay there at the university at all. And as time went on and there still wasn't any suspects named, the residents in the area remain on edge. Now, the holidays are approaching. You have Thanksgiving, then you have Christmas, and we're hearing that many of the students, well, they were requesting pepper spray and guns as Christmas gifts. And as several weeks go by, the Moscow police actually start requesting the public to help them. And this is around December 7th. The police were getting so many tips, they had to refer a lot of their callers to a special FBI call center. Now, there was a lot of talk about a white Hyundai. According to a news source from CNN, there was talk that investigators were actually homing in on a suspect. December 30th, 2022, a guy by the name of Bryan Kohberger was arrested, and he was arrested in the early morning hours. His name came out as Bryan Christopher Kohberger, 28. We're hearing that he was arrested at a home in Chestnut Hill Township. We hear it may be his parents' home. Soon after this, we hear from a prosecutor by the name of Bill Thompson, and he says investigators believe that Kohberger broke into the student's home with the intent to commit murder. This guy is 6 foot tall and about 185 pounds. And as soon as his name popped up, everybody started researching his background the best they could. And I'm going to share with you today what I've learned. So who is this guy? Public records list Kohberger as a registered libertarian voter. Several sources link him to being a criminology buff who comes from a family of mental health workers. He attended Northampton College and graduated in 2018. Then he attended DeSales University in Pennsylvania, where he received a bachelor's degree in 2020 and completed his graduate studies in June of 2022. So the place that he is here in 2022, the summer of 2022, well, it's about 9 days travel from Washington State. He is a graduate student of criminal justice and criminology, PhD student at Washington State University. There, he lived on campus in Pullman. This is about 8 miles from Moscow, the crime scene. Depending on traffic, it's about 37 minutes away from the 4 victims' home. So I found this very interesting. You know, this is a perfect career to take if you want to get away with something. You know, most predators, they work close to the field of interest. He was also a teacher's assistant at the Washington State University. He has no criminal record except for a traffic infraction, no federal records attached to his name, no criminal record, really. So this is quite interesting. So Kohberger completed his graduate studies in criminal justice this year at DeSales University. Okay, so this is in Center Valley, Pennsylvania, where students told Daily Beast He took classes with Professor Ramsland, and those courses included psychology of death investigations. The Daily Beast reached out to Ramsland, but they declined to comment. Just months back, around May of 2022, Kohberger posted on Reddit asking former prisoners to take part in a research project aimed at understanding how emotions and psychological traits influence decisions. And this is attached to when they are committing a crime. He's interested in getting the story behind the most recent criminal offense of whoever he's talking to. What they found was, at the time, the person identified him as a student investigator at DeSales University. He was using a school-issued email address. And so here it is. I'm going to leave it up for you guys to read this if you're interested in knowing what that post says. The important thing is that he ensured anybody that would participate in this, their identity will be kept completely confidential. And that was a tongue twister. Just a short go over here. The survey included questions such as, did you prepare for the crime before leaving your home? Why did you choose that victim or target over others? What was the first move you made to accomplish your goal? After committing the crime, what were you thinking and feeling? I think I already mentioned the fact that he was a teaching assistant for the university's criminal justice and criminology program. That's according to the WSU online directory. So let's go ahead and see what they say about the arrest warrant. So according to WSU Pullman Chancellor Elizabeth Chilton, confirmed that the search warrants were executed Friday, and it was for his apartment and his his office on campus. What we are learning is Kohberger had completed his first semester as a PhD student at the WSU Criminal Justice Program earlier this month. Now, because he was arrested in Washington and the crimes were committed in Idaho, he is waiting to be extradited. He is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary. And here's the thing. If he doesn't waive his right to be extradited, well, this could lead into a very lengthy process and several court hearings before he is brought back to Idaho, where the murders took place. Thompson also mentioned that Kohberger was appointed a public defender. He has the right to waive extradition and return to Idaho for court. Extradition proceedings will be done through the governor's office, and they are asking for everyone's patience during what could be a drawn-out process. Now, guys, this is crazy insane what we learned. Is the amount of tips that investigators were dealing with. Police received 19,000 tips, but still no one, as far as I am aware of anyways, and it's December 31st, knows what tip actually led investigators to arrest Kohberger. We are hearing that they have mentioned the fact that the suspect was actually identified through DNA, and also they tracked him to Pennsylvania through his vehicle, and that the FBI had been watching the home where Kohberger was located for several days before making the arrest. That's according to ABC News. Now, I think I forgot to mention a little bit more about that research project where he actually asked ex-cons to map out how they committed their crimes. This research project was actually a course by the famed forensic psychologist Catherine Ramsland. She is an author of 68 books, including How to Catch a Killer. Now, a former classmate of Kohberger at DeSales, this classmate doesn't share his name, says that he was a classmate with him at DeSales and that the two got in a disagreement once, and it was during an introductory biology class group project. He doesn't remember the exact conversation. He says he can recall that Kohberger was very intelligent as well as being well-spoken. However, that being said, he seemed very detached. He said, quote, "He is very little and somewhat imposing. There wasn't much emotion displayed by him, end quote. So one of the things that he remembered about him was the fact that he had this intense stare. So one of the neighbors, Justin Williams, 34-year-old, who is an employee at WSU, who lives in an adjacent building, told Fox News that he had occasionally seen Kohberger in the neighborhood, typically while Kohberger was actually just receiving his mail. He said, quote, "I see him go check his mail. That was it. Other than that, I've only seen him like twice the whole time. And I've lived here since July of 2021, end quote. In a press conference Friday, December 30th, Chief James Fry said Bryan Christopher Kohberger was arrested that morning on a warrant for first-degree murders for the 4 victims. He was nabbed in his hometown of Albrightsville in Pennsylvania and will appear in court Tuesday for extradition proceedings. Chief Fry declined to release further details, including deal or potential motive, until Kohberger is brought back to Idaho. In this briefing, we are told that they had an FBI surveillance team who had been tracking him for 4 days before his arrest, and that cops have yet to find the murder weapon. However, that being said, they did seize his white Hyundai. So this car plays a key role, it appears. They said this is the same model of car seen in the vicinity of where the murders took place in November. Fry said that more details can be revealed following Kohberger's next court appearance, which is scheduled again, we're being told, Tuesday afternoon. So a few witnesses saw a few trucks and stuff pulling up the day that they got a search warrant, and they said there was a black pickup and a silver pickup. He said he noticed a couple of cops and that they were taking pictures and stuff, but they didn't have any tape up at that time. But now we know that, there's been tape put up. What we're learning is police are still needing tips, and they are welcoming tips at this time. Chief Fry said, "We know what tips we are looking for. We will take those tips and have professionals look at those and decide which pieces of those we need to use in our case," end quote. So we're hearing a few updates that there's going to be a court hearing January 3rd around 3:30 in the afternoon. It can change. A lot of this information is new, and it can change as the nation is rushing to get more information on this guy. Now, we have heard some rumors of something about family members being related in some way. I haven't had time to finish investigating that, but maybe you can. All we can do is hope that all the families that are involved in this devastating case, they can finally start to relax somewhat, knowing that there is at least a chance for justice here for their loved ones. I can't imagine going through this. All I can do is say is we are sending our love and support out to those families and those victims, and to everyone who has worked so hard on trying to solve and bring justice to this case. I'm in a hurry, but you guys stay safe. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you guys soon. Next year.